Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm back on content. I just trained with Kevin. We just trained carbine gunfighter with Kevin and Matt out in Colorado near a range that's actually near Fort Carson. It's actually on Fort Carson. I wanted to, teach you guys a little bit about gun handling. And the whole entire point of this content is to get everybody on the same sheet of music. I've been asked a few questions that I will answer right now. One of them is like, hey, how do I access content? Do I have to pay the money? Yes. The reason you have to pay the money is because the things that we're doing aren't free in the fact that we are heavily loaded on a secure server without the risk of suppression. So we're asking that everybody at a minimum pay $5 to get access to the content. But this also helps me in many ways because one, I could allocate the time. Two, it allows us to pay for the travel for the analysts to Salt Lake City, which we will Zoom and live feed that when we have those analysts in-house to go over how this intelligence thing works. Three, it allows me to pay my web developer, Lindsay, who's busting her butt with everything that's going on. And four, it helps us accumulate enough capital to pay for the app. I have gotten permission to post the PDF invoice of how much this app costs, which right now is at $60K. But I have a meeting on Thursday, a conference call on Thursday with locals, the app development side, and a three-way conversation with the app developer that we're looking at hiring to get this done. The way that this is working now is we are partitioned across three platforms: social media, locals, and then the website. And the reason we're partitioned that way is the website is bringing everybody in, but the website has the intel updates and reports and some of the blog posts. All the information that you're putting in on that is secure. We put it on a secure server, and we also put the email chain of all that data on a secure applications. All the intelligence is being reported on AmericanContingency.com, and the locals apparatus is meant for us to intercommunicate to an extent, meaning there are ways that you could access and communicate to each other via responses, but we're not allowing the social networking aspect. Actually, it's not even a feature right now on locals. So on locals, I'm using it as an apparatus to kind of consolidate everybody. Also provide content like this to get everybody on the same sheet of music. And then that is going to allow us to get the application portion of it to be able to socially network everybody, but securely. That's the whole point of this, right? If you don't do this the right way, you run the risk of putting everybody's personal information out there and then getting it compromised. And we don't want that. So we will work or further work on getting the application sorted out. That's going to allow you to basically tether to locals as the secure server. And forgive me because I'm not intelligent at this stuff. This is what's just been told to me. And then have a social networking component of the application that allows you to communicate depending on your level of vetting with each other in each other's communities. I just told Serena, my assistant in this, to start up the regional AMCON teams that you have to have a username an email in order to stand that up. So we'll have AMCON Northwest, which will cover all the Northwest states. And then you could see all the specific intel updates that are on there instead of trying to put it all over just the website. Also, we have the social media platforms, which is good because there's a lot of stuff that happens in real time that we can't consolidate on locals. It kind of bogs us down. So what I've done is between me and Serena, and I need to find somebody else, probably Heather, I'm gonna get us a consolidation point for intel reports via you on the application. So let's say you're in Florida and you witness a protest or something violent's about to go down. You can immediately blast us on DM, and then we can immediately disseminate that on Instagram and the other platforms as necessary. What we don't want to do is too farly sparse ourselves across too many different platforms, which I feel we're already doing, but it's necessary, right? Because I don't want to get suppressed on any social media platform That's why we have locals. I also don't want to have to migrate the intel across every social media platform. That's why I want to use Instagram as a primary intel collection apparatus. So, man, I hope that makes sense. I'm exhausted just saying that stuff out loud because it's a lot to take in. For you guys, just know that you have a home and we're safe in this safe space. I'm in Kevin's hotel room again. He's behind me on the gram. There he is. You see him? Is that your head, Kevin? Or are you sleeping? Yeah, that's you. That's you. I want to talk about safe gun handling. I taught a carbine course today, and I was going to do some carbine stuff, but it kind of starts with pistol. It starts with everyday carry. This is one of my everyday carry bags. My company, Fieldcraft, is actually making a better version because this is made for fly fishing. And I recommend everybody go to some kind of bag. Maybe the question is, do we wait for your bag? Don't wait for my bag. Get it now. You could buy this bag, which is the Atom 8-liter Patagonia bag, for $20-30 online right now. And it has plenty of real estate to carry everything you need. The problem with just carrying on your person, meaning you as an individual, is you don't have enough space. If you carry a pistol, you carry a tourniquet, a flashlight, all the things you need, you don't have enough room on your body. So you need something like this to carry the bulk of it, especially if you have a family. So let me just open this up and I'll pull out one of my everyday carry stuff. So right here, this is my everyday carry tourniquet. It's actually in my tourniquet holder that Fieldcraft makes. This will be available soon. Not in the Cerakote finish with a red cross in black, which I think is important to have, that you can put on a belt. You can clip it into the inside of this Patagonia bag. You can put it on an overt belt or put it mildly adaptable. This is made for a North American Rescue tourniquet. It shrouds this piece right here. You'd access this. It's a tourniquet holder. The reason I think tourniquets are important is because statistically, it's more likely to save your life than any piece of preparedness equipment you have. Super important to have. I keep this on my person and I have them in my cars, have them everywhere. A shameless plug, we do sell this at Fieldcraft Survival. Look, it's not a huge margin. I'm not saying it to make money because we don't really make a lot of money from tourniquets because North American Rescue sells them. We're just a dealer for them, but it's the best tourniquet made. Tourniquets are super important because they stop the bleed and femoral or brachial bleeds that can kill you in a matter of minutes, sometimes seconds, depending on the compromise of the artery. Very important to carry. I will give you a class later on this, but if you have a family, think extremities. If you ride a motorcycle, you're probably going to have 2 crush injuries on both legs by hitting the handlebars. If you're in a car, you could think the same thing about upper extremities versus lower, so it makes sense to have more than one. I'm going to go straight to the pistol. There is a lot of stuff in here that we'll talk about later and kind of everyday carry considerations, but let's get to the pistol. This is a SIG P320 X carry. It's my everyday carry pistol. I have 21 rounds in this magazine. And it's in my holster that my company makes, that Fieldcraft Survival makes. This holster is cool because the holster allows you to run an RMR without modifying or getting a different type of holster depending on if you want to carry it on the gun or not. It also allows you to load and unload and press check the gun while retaining it in the holster. Like if you carry this in your waistband, and I'm going to give you a crotch shot, but let's say, oops, is my zipper down? That's awkward. So if I have this inside my waistband, right, and I'm going to sit down, as I'm going to sit down with 21 rounds in the frame, it's going to be uncomfortable. So look where it sits on my crotch. And I'm a big dude. I have a 34-inch waist. I'm 6'1". I'm a wide guy. And that's still appendix carry, which is center line of my crotch, still a lot of real estate. True appendix carry is here. And that's why people put claws on these guns or these holsters to tilt the belt towards your body, which allows the frame to pinch your body closer. But look where it's hanging. I can't even lift my leg without running into the holster or gun. That's why I'm not a fan of these large holsters that you have to have like a 40-inch waist and a large, massive crotch for you to fit this kind of stuff in your pants. One, I don't recommend carrying a pistol in your pants all the time. If you're like me and you're mobile, like you get in a car, you get out of a car, and you do things in and around vehicles, it's more advantageous to have an EDC sling bag. This is why I carry this bag. I'll show you. So if I have this bag and I'm slung, I'm like this. But if I want to sit down, for example, I take it and I sling it here, and it's like a chest rig. Now when I want access, everything I need is right here at my chest, not on my crotch, and I could drive a car and I could sit down and live my everyday life, but with access to my everyday carry pistol. That's super advantageous, I think. I used this when I was a contractor for the CIA because I was mobile. So I was always in a car and I was always getting in and out. Well, think about how you carry and configure your pistol. If your pistol is in your waistband, then it's pinned by your crotch, your pants, your seatbelt, and you're in a seated position. That's difficult to carry. That's difficult to draw. So that's problematic. What else is problematic is if you go in your car and out of your car, and you're constantly move your pistol out of your waistband into your center console or in between the seats, and then when you get out of the car, you put it in your waistband, that whole process is problematic. Damn, that tan's deep. So if you're in and out doing that, you're running the risk of creating a signature, meaning people seeing you do that. That's not good. The point of covert concealed carry is you don't want anybody to know you have a pistol. So one of the things that I did with our holster, because I was in GRS, is appendix carry is actually center line. Well, most people like me, I have a belt buckle. Well, if I was going to put a normal holster on it, a normal holster would have a clip right here, and I would have to offset this to the side, which is actually my appendix. But because our clip is off to the side, and I don't want to make this a commercial, but this is the way I did this, our clip's off to the side, you could literally run it center line with your buckle here and then still have it retain in the middle of your crotch. So when you do sit down, you sit down like this. That was dramatic. But you sit down like that with your legs hinging and not obstructing your ability to draw the pistol. But like I said, just get an EDC sling bag and you can carry it retained. So those are concealed carry considerations for my everyday carry pistol. When I look at a pistol for carry, I'm very seasonal about how I carry a pistol. Meaning, depending on the weather, depending on my attire, is going to dictate what kind of pistol that I have. If I was wearing board shorts and I had a t-shirt on, I would be carrying this Patagonia sling bag. I mean, it's summertime and I wear a long sleeve shirts always on the range to protect myself, but also to keep myself cool, breathing, versus wearing a t-shirt. Because if you wear a t-shirt, it actually makes it, wow, sorry about that. Kevin's in there loving on Vinny. That's Vinny, I promise. He said, oh boy, that was the dog, Vinny. That wasn't a guy. So when I carry a pistol, it has to fit my attire, right? This is a large, massive pistol. My hands are pretty big, and on this, it fits my hand good, but this is a massive pistol. The reason I carry a massive pistol is, one, my hands being big can grip this pistol properly, and I feel confident within my hands. Now, it's not the best concealable pistol in my waistband, but it's perfect for my EDC everyday carry sling bag, right? So if I wanted to carry, for example, a Glock 43, which I carry, I have one inside of my center console in my truck right now. I'm not confident in that pistol because I don't have a lot of round capacity and it's too small for my hands. I actually feel like I'm swamping that gun, and I've run into failure to slide lock, failure to feed, because I've induced malfunctions on that gun with my hands. So that's why I'm a big fan of this gun, which is the P6 or the P320X carry. Okay, so let's talk about this particular pistol and how you would handle it and utilize it. So let's say I wanted to take this gun out of the holster. One, we always assume that every pistol that we hold, no matter whose hand it's been in, no matter where it's been sitting at, I am going to assume this pistol is loaded. Every pistol or every gun is loaded at all times, which means I need to understand the status of it, but I'm going to assume it's loaded. So I pull this gun out, and this has been sitting in my everyday carry bag all day. I'm assuming it's loaded, so I have to make clear this gun. So the first thing I'm going to do is, one, I'm holding the gun always up in this box that's around my head. I don't want to clear, like a lot of people clear guns and they do this. They're clearing it down here. They're clearing it away from here. Bend your elbows, bring your hands together in your workspace, which is this small box, and manage the handling of the gun where your eyes can see what's going on. Down and out and away, your eyes can't see that. The first thing I want to do is I want to drop the source of feed. So I'm going to drop the magazine by pushing on the mag release on the support side, typically on the support side of the pistol. When I drop the magazine, I'm going to stow it. I'm going to put it away, right? I'm going to sit it down right here, and then I have one in the chamber. Now, what's the indication that there's one in the chamber? Well, there's a couple. One, this little detent, which you can see right there, like a little tit, is raised, which means in this SIG there's one in the chamber. I could also look down over the barrel or through the cut of the barrel, and you can almost see it there. You can see brass, right? There it goes. That's the back of the cartridge, which means that there's one in the chamber. The chamber is actually the barrel of the gun. So I want to clear this. This is a training habit that a lot of people have where they rack the slide to the rear, which is going to extract the round, in this case a live round, and then they try to catch it. Don't do that. There's two ways to do it controlled. One, I could set it on a surface, pull it back and let the round fall, or I could upright the gun and then pull the slide to the rear and let the round fall into my hand, which I like doing, which is just like that. I set the round down, and now, do I know it's clear? Well, by all assumptions, there's no magazine in it, and I just pulled it to the rear and a round came out. But I want to ensure it's clear by a visual inspection. Because remember, the things that you're doing now, you have to be able to do day, low light, and no light. So this is how a gun works. It's slide, and bear with me, man, this is for basic people, but it's important to rehash this even as an intermediate. The slide reciprocates and cycles over the frame. So to lock this slide to the rear, I need to push up on the slide catch, which doesn't take a lot of pressure, at the same time that I pull back on the slide. I use the front end of the gun because my hands are bigger and I could firmly push that back and observe the chamber. But I recommend most of you with your hands to grab the back of the slide. There's serrations even there for you, for both of us on the front and rear. Grab the back of the slide by overhand gripping it, pushing forward with this hand and pulling back with this hand at the same time that I'm putting upward tension on the slide catch or slide release, depending on what manufacturer. Slide hand over, pushing forward and back simultaneously, and then locking the slide to the rear. This is what's called slide lock. The slide is locked to the rear, which gives me an open port, which allows me to check the three primary positions of safety. One, inside the barrel. If there was a round in this barrel, that's what it would look like. No round in the barrel. The mag well, to make sure there's not a magazine. If there was a mag inside the gun, that's what you would see. And then ensuring that there's not a bullet on the bolt face, because some guns have receded or retracted bolt faces, and that's similar to what it would look like if it was on the bolt face. Pretty obvious, but you do that check anyway because it builds a good habit for you to clear guns. So 1, 2, 3. I'm not just going, yeah, it's good, because I have to remember to do this day and night. How would you do it at night? Maybe your pinky finger, maybe a flashlight. But I would want to visually inspect that or physically inspect it with my finger. It's inside of here into the barrel. There's nothing. I don't feel the back of a round. There's nothing in the mag well, and there's nothing on the bolt face. Slide forward. When the slide goes forward, that creates a closed chamber, which is the round would be locked inside of the barrel like you saw it sitting, and then that closed chamber would lock the gun and prepare it to be shot. So when that gun is locked, I want to just pull the slide back to make sure it's good to go. There's a lot of people, because of USPSA, when they lock and show clear or they clear themselves, they'll do that and then they'll pull the trigger. To me, that's a bad habit. One, because I don't pull the trigger unless I'm behind the gun and dry firing it, or I'm behind the gun and shooting it. So don't just inadvertently drop the hammer for no reason. Pull it back. If you check it and you're one of those guys, because you have to pull the trigger, at least align it somewhere in a safe direction, get a free rep in front sight focus, and then break the trigger, and it's good to go. Okay? That's unload. Loading is the complete opposite. But what I like to do is build good habits in the load procedure, especially if it's an admin load. Now remember, the difference between an admin load and a tactical and slide lock reload is an admin load you have all the time in the world. And you're going to ensure that everything is good to go before you commit it to this holster and make sure it's squared away. So let me show you my admin load. I pick the gun up, it's unloaded obviously. I'm gonna lock the slide to the rear. I'm going to 3-point check it to make sure I don't load onto a potential malfunction or something's wrong with the gun. I'm going to take the magazine, which is fully topped off. Then I'm going to insert the magazine, looking and observing in my field of view, pushing and pulling. Don't just do this and then run. Push it and pull it to make sure it's good. Then I'm going to upright the gun and look down in the chamber, that's your field of view. There's two ways to do this, and I recommend doing either, but allowing it to manually go forward, meaning with the spring tension, you don't want to guide it forward deliberately. You want it to spring forward using the spring and buffer assembly that's inside of the slide. So two ways. One way is grab the rear of the gun, pull back and let go. The second way is push down on the slide release or slide catch and allow the slide to go forward. I personally like pulling back from the rear and then letting the slide go forward, ensuring that I'm properly chambered with good fitment, with a closed chamber. Now, what would I do here before I get loaded up and topped off and put it in my holster? Well, one, I just put one in the chamber. I'm minus one in the magazine, which happens to have a base plate that extends my capacity. I'm going to drop the magazine, take an extra round, top it off, put the magazine in, insert, hear that click, push, pull, and now I'm good to go. Now, with this gun, I don't need to press check it because I could see brass and I could see a tit, which are two indications that there's a round in the chamber. With Glocks and some other guns, you might not have that window, so you would have to press check it. Press checking a gun just ensures that there's one in the chamber. And yeah, there's many justifications for not doing it because, like in a Glock, for example, there actually is a window where you could see the brass. But it is something psychological. Somebody made this point to me and I've gravitated towards it, where if I press check a gun and I see that, which is brass, and I manually allow it to ride forward and push it forward with the thumb to make sure it's properly seated and in chamber, that gives me added confidence that when I pull this gun to save my life, that I'm going to benefit with the positive psychological effects of knowing that it's actually loaded. Now, when would you think to put the gun away and you would never think that it's not loaded? Well, a lot of people check over this. They just load it, slam it home, and put it in the holster. That's not a lot of confidence. I want full confidence. That's why it's called an admin reload. So now I would take my holster, put it away. Now, that is my routine, which is load, unload, and make ready. Or load, unload, load, make ready. Now, what do I do every morning as part of my, we call it behavioral script. This is part of my routine. I want to press check the gun and make sure that it's topped off. That's what I do every morning as a routine. I'll pull out my pistol. I'll remove the holster. I'll drop the source of feed and I will look to make sure that it's stopped off. This particular magazine has a window on this side. Glocks have a window on the back side. I will push the round, if it's displaced like this, to the rear, push down on it, insert the magazine and push pull. I will press check the front of the gun, seeing the brass, allowing the chamber to go forward manually, and push on the rear of the gun, and then I'll stow it away, giving myself psychological benefit of knowing that it is ready to go if I need it to save my life. Also, whenever you leave a gun behind at home, in a center console, in a bag, and you haven't touched it, never assume the gun is good to go. Always assume that somebody has touched it, manipulated it, and now you have to check the status of it. Something else that you could do as a benefit, what I would do, in a safe environment, obviously not with kids, where your kids are sleeping on the other side of drywall, I would pull the gun and get it aligned, and I would get a front sight picture, target focus, front sight picture, target focus, front sight picture, and get my hands used to feeling what it feels like to hold the grip properly, which we'll talk about in another class. Put it in a holster and put it in my waistband or put it in my bag. That is inherently important in not only psychology, but technically going through consistently the right way every single time. That little habit is what me and Kevin did every single time. We staged our equipment after an operation and then before going on an operation in our staging room. That's why I've always been a proponent. We used to have them of having a mat. We used to have, like, people call it a mouse pad because it is a mouse pad. A staging area where you could put your gun, all your everyday carry components, and go through a routine, a script to ensure that you're properly prepared. And I do that every morning, except I'm using an everyday carry bag. Guys, I hope that makes a lot of sense. We need to start here. Watch this video, show your friends, show your family, get them on board and understand that safe gun handling starts with how you handle your pistol, getting prepared for everyday carry. Remember the rules. We'll go lastly over the rules of safety for firearms, period. Pistol, carbine, shotgun, the list goes on. 1, we always treat every firearm as if it's loaded. 2, we keep our finger off the trigger and prepped above on the low receiver of all guns to ensure that we're not keeping our finger hovering the trigger or on the trigger unless we're ready and committed to defending our life. 3, we always orient the barrel away from people and always keep the barrel in the fight. Flagging yourself or flagging other people is never advantageous. Now, there are instances where you might have to do that, especially when working the gun around your legs in concealed carry in a seated position. But we should minimize that as much as possible, but always orient the barrel in the fight. I see a lot of people doing sole. I see a lot of people doing tipple index. And that's fine when we haven't been in the gunfight. But anytime a gun is out of alignment, meaning out of the positioning of addressing the threat, you're behind the power curve. So I'm pointing the gun oriented wherever my eyes are looking to ensure that I'm ready to go. 4, we always pay attention to the target that we're engaging and what's beyond that target. Remember, we live in a world of threats and non-threats. If there's a non-threat behind a threat, these bullets, even traveling at 900 feet per second, can go through a person and affect other things beyond that target. If we're shooting paper, if we're shooting still, those are considerations. But most importantly, if we're shooting, trying to defend our life, taking down the bad guy, we want to know what our target is and what's beyond our target. Guys, I hope that helped. That's a 30-minute block of instruction. I can't believe I just regurgitated that because I am smoked, but I'm doing it because I care about this American contingency thing. I want to get us on the same sheet of music in our SOPs, how we maneuver. We're going to go through everything. I'm going to bore you to death with tactics, techniques, and procedures that are going to make you better prepared. There's a lot of stuff going on tonight. Please be safe. Please take care of your family and friends first and foremost. If there's a protest, if there's a violent actors out there getting their assault, damage, whatever on, stay away. Please stay away. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time. Be safe.